going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the two humongous NFL trades that happened during the 2022 NFL Draft during round one a couple of days ago. But before we could break down the A.J. Brown trade as well as the Hollywood Marquise Brown trade, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into the breakdown of these humongous trades. So we'll begin with the A.J. Brown trade. Now, the trade details go as follows. A.J. Brown was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for the 18th overall pick and the 101st overall pick. The Eagles gave A.J. Brown, right after this happened, a 4-year, $100 million contract with $57 million guaranteed. The Titans, after trading away A.J. Brown for those picks, they used pick number 18 to select Arkansas wide receiver Trayvon Burks. Now, in terms of a real NFL standpoint, an NFL trading standpoint, if I was trying to grade this as how did the GMs do, I think that the Eagles got a pretty solid deal here, getting A.J. Brown for $100 million, trading him for just the 18th overall pick and the 101st overall pick. Do I think that the Titans got swindled? No. The Titans did not have the big bucks. They did not have the cap space to pay A.J. Brown $100 million fucking dollars. So the trade was bound to happen because A.J. Brown wanted all that money. He wanted to chase the bag, and I understand it. So in terms of an NFL GM standpoint, this seemed like a pretty good trade for both sides. Obviously, the Eagles got a great player for just having to pay up that much in terms of NFL draft capital, but it seemed like the Titans were kind of in a pretty shitty situation there because they didn't really have the money to pay A.J. Brown. So in terms of fantasy football, we'll begin first with the Eagles, starting with A.J. Brown. So prior to this trade, I was pretty nervous, if I'm being honest with you guys, about A.J. Green in terms of fantasy football, and that worry really had nothing to do with the player that A.J. Brown is, because in my opinion, I think that A.J. Brown is one of the upper echelon wide receivers in the NFL. Is he the best wide receiver in the NFL? I'm not going to make that argument, but could you make the argument that pound for pound, skill set wise, is he a top 5 wide receiver? To some, many, so I'm not going to argue with that. The Titans are not even a dumpster fire organization, but the very run-heavy nature of this offense scared me away from A.J. Brown and scared me away from feeling really comfortable with drafting him as a top 12 wide receiver. And in a lot of drafts, he was going top 10, top 8. And I was like, you know what? I would rather just fade him and draft someone different. Because I know damn well, once Derrick Henry is fully healthy in week number 1, they are going to look to jam the ball down the throat of defenses. They were doing it even without Derrick Henry. So when Derrick Henry returns, he is the key focal piece in this offense. It didn't matter how fucking good A.J. Brown was. They were still going to heavily use Derrick Henry, and that was just bad for A.J. Brown. So now he's in Philadelphia. This is also a team that is very run heavy. I'm not here to tell you that this is just a complete change, right? Because the Eagles aren't just going to change this team that's like top 5, top 10 in passing offenses in the NFL, but I do believe that the team's going to put a little bit more confidence in Jalen Hurts. To me, them trading for A.J. Brown shows that maybe they do believe in Jalen Hurts a little bit more than I previously believed, and I think that they're going to look to pass the ball a little bit more. Again, I don't think they're going to be a top 10 passing offense in the NFL in terms of passing attempt rate, how many times they pass the ball compared to how many times they run the ball. That would be a little bit crazy, but I do think they're going to look to pass the ball a little bit more, and I definitely now feel confident drafting A.J. Brown inside the top 10, inside the top 12. Do I have him ranked as a top 5 wide receiver? No, because there is still the worries about how much they're going to be throwing the ball. They have Devontae Smith. They have Dallas Goedert. So it's not like A.J. Brown is just the only guy there, but that may end up even helping him a little bit more because last year in Tennessee, when A.J. Brown was healthy, he was the only motherfucker on that team that was even worth defending. Nicholas Westbrook-Ikhine, the ghost of Julio Jones. Come on, it was bad. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to get a solid bump from this, which we're going to discuss. And I think A.J. Brown should be just fine in Philadelphia. So Jalen Hurts. Next up, last year, Jalen Hurts finished as the quarterback 9 and the quarterback 6 in points per game, tied with Mr. Discount Double Check, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. While much of his value does come with that immense rushing upside, as he had the most carries, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns at the quarterback position last season, I had him ranked as the quarterback 7 prior to this trade. And I will leave him there. Well, I said this does give him a solid bump. I think if you were someone who was maybe a little bit down on Jalen Hurts, oh, who do they have besides Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, Jalen Reagor, these other guys that aren't so good, then maybe you want to bump him up. But where I had him at quarterback 7, I think that's fair because unless Jalen Hurts, like I'm seeing these clips where he looks like this elite passer, I just don't know how I could rank him ahead of guys like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Kyler Murray, who we're going to talk a little bit later in the video when we talk about Hollywood Brown. So I just can't really see myself elevating him that high. Can he finish inside the top 5? It would not surprise me at all. Could he be the #1 quarterback in fantasy football? That also wouldn't surprise me at all. It would not surprise me at all. But I think just pushing him all the way up there because of this trade is a humongous overreaction. So again, quarterback 7 in my rankings prior to this trade. Still the quarterback 7. And I definitely do like A.J. Brown more here in Philadelphia compared to Tennessee. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about this trade. Which team do you think won this trade? And do you think this helps out A.J. Brown or hurts him? Same thing with Jalen Hurts. But I don't think you can really make the argument that this trade hurted or hurts Jalen Hurts. It just didn't. There's just no way you can argue that. So our sponsor of today's video, before we head on into the Hollywood Brown trade reaction breakdown, is Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, Underdog doesn't stop there. Underdog has plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live draft contests, as well as pick'ems in which you can make up to 20 times your entry fee. Use promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, AWESEMO on your screen as well to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. If you guys don't want to go ahead and just type in the promo code, just click the link in the video description. It automatically imports the promo for you. And again, you can get up to a $100 first match deposit bonus. Please make sure you guys go ahead and get started on Underdog Fantasy today. So now that we are getting back into things, we're going to move to the Titans side of things for this trade. So Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill had a not so hot performance last year than I personally expected, but the team did end up having those injuries around him. So I'm not going to just bag on Ryan Tannehill, beat him up for that, but he didn't have all that great of a season. He now has Treylon Burks as his pseudo wide receiver 1. Outside of that, things aren't looking great in Tennessee for the wide receiver position. They bring in Robert Woods, who I actually really like. I like Robert Woods a lot, but that's definitely a downgrade compared to what it would have been with A.J. Brown and Robert Woods there as the 1-2 punch. Tannehill was quarterback 12 in 2021 and quarterback 16 in points per game. I kind of expect him to be around that number again, maybe quarterback 17, 18. Maybe he does have a better season because, again, that was a down year. But with just how much they run the ball and with A.J. Brown now gone, I mean, they're saying Treylon Burks could be A.J. Brown, and maybe he could be, right? Maybe he could be, but there's no reason for me to just move him up after this, right? This is certainly a move where you want to move the guy down your rankings. Treylon Burks out of Arizona for the Razorbacks. He had over 1,100 yards in his junior season last year in 2021 with 11 touchdowns. He also had 13 carries for 112 yards and a score, which tells me that the team doesn't just believe in him as just a strong wide receiver, but they also believed him as a strong athlete. He also ran a 4.55 40-yard dash. I think this opportunity gives him a very solid chance to be one of those late round dart throws that you throw later on in your draft, right? Maybe in the 9th, 10th round. And I'm not saying that he is locked in to be this stud, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle last year, right? These rookies that put up phenomenal fucking numbers. I don't think that. But I think if his ADP stays back there to where he doesn't just climb up the draft board, I'm fine taking that shot, even with them being such a run-heavy team. But if his ADP starts rising and we're seeing camp or footage out of camp, out of preseason, it's like, oh, maybe he doesn't look so good, then I would probably just not draft him if his ADP kept rising. But in like the 9th, 10th round, I think he's definitely a wide receiver, and he may even go later than that I would like to just draft a couple of times in some drafts. So now we move on over to the Hollywood Brown trade. The details of this trade were the Arizona Cardinals traded pick 23 to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for Hollywood Brown and pick number 100, which is a 3rd round pick. In terms of fantasy football, Hollywood Brown this move, in my opinion, is very interesting. Very, very interesting. But I forgot that we also have to talk about from a GM standpoint. I think that the Cardinals, they might be thinking, wow, we could have gotten AJ Brown for this certain price. I mean, did we kind of overpay maybe for Hollywood Brown? Maybe. The Ravens definitely kind of got screwed here. They probably wanted to keep Hollywood Brown, but Hollywood Brown wanted out. So this is just a pretty even trade for me. I mean, I'm just not very excited about this trade, if I'm being honest with you. If I was the Ravens, I wouldn't be super excited. So Hollywood Brown, again, I said this was very interesting because Hollywood Brown wanted out. And it seems like he's been requesting trades for a while now, right? It wasn't just something very recent. So it seems like he wasn't a big fan of the offensive scheme in Baltimore, and this could mean that we see a massive leap in production as well as consistency out of Hollywood Brown. I think moving him drastically up the rankings is a humongous overreaction. I think that that's a little bit fucking crazy. Could he be more consistent in Arizona? 100%. Could he be even better in terms of fantasy? Yes, 100%. But he goes from being the clear number one receiver there in Baltimore to the clear number two here behind DeAndre Hopkins. Some people may forget about DeAndre Hopkins because he was banged up last year, didn't have that great of a season, but when DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, he's fucking amazing. He's fantastic. He's one of the better wide receivers in the league. Is he getting up there in age? Yes. Is there eventually going to be a fall off? There's a fall off for every single player in the NFL, but am I going to project that all the wheels are going to fall off DeAndre Hopkins in 2022 after an injury-riddled 2021 season? Probably not. Again, here to kind of reiterate what I was saying is I am very excited about this change. I am very excited about the fact that I think this could really help out Hollywood Brown, but don't let this news just move his ADP. Don't make him skyrocket into the fourth, the third round, because if you're paying that price for him, you're fucking crazy. Kyler Murray. This is a positive for Kyler Murray, who played well last year and probably would have been a top 5 quarterback in fantasy if he played a full season instead of missing some games, playing in only 14 games last year. I was already pretty high on Kyler Murray. Some people were calling me a little bit crazy. Nick, why do you like Kyler Murray so much? I like him because of the rushing upside, and I like him because I think the Arizona Cardinals offense is set up great. They've got Kyler, they've got D-Hop, now they have Hollywood Brown, they have AJ Green, they have James Conner, they have Zach Ertz, so they have a lot of options to throw the ball there. So this is a pretty solid team as a whole offensively. Defense-wise, not as good as last year in my book, but still a pretty fine defense, right? You're not going to say the Cardinals are like some dog shit defense. So I think in Arizona, Kyler is going to, this is a positive for him. Kind of like with Jalen Hurts, where if you had Kyler Murray really low because you were nervous for some reason, I think this is the kind of news where you bump him up a little bit. But if you're already on the same playing field as me, where you had him ranked as like QB 5 or 6, I don't think you should be, holy shit, man, Hollywood Brown's here. Let's throw him up to quarterback 1 or quarterback 2. That's fucking crazy. Like, could he finish as the number 1 quarterback? Yes, because of the rushing upside, because of what we've seen out of Kyler Murray, 100%. But do I believe that you need to overreact to this news and skyrocket these players directly to outer space? No. So, in terms of this trade, I really like it. For the Arizona side, Lamar Jackson got hurt last year. This whole Ravens team, if you're looking at the Ravens side, they were banged up last year as well. Things were bad for the Ravens. It seemed like they lost basically every single running back before they even took a snap of the regular season. Everyone was hurt. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. They lost everyone. They even had to have Le'Veon Bell jet ski his way over to Baltimore and play some snaps for the team. So things were very bad for Baltimore. I think in 2022, even with Lamar losing Hollywood Brown, this is definitely going to make me nervous about him, but I'm still excited to draft him because you're not drafting Lamar Jackson because you expect him to throw 5,000 passing yards. You're drafting him because you expect him to have that solid rushing upside, him to feed Mark Andrews, and then maybe now he's feeding some of the other guys. Maybe now Rashad Bateman has a fantastic season. Am I going to elevate Rashad Bateman a crazy amount? No. Definitely going to move him up the rankings, but not to something crazy. Please do not overreact to these trades just yet. Let the ADP move. Then you can have a reaction. I don't think you want to really come in super strong on any of these guys just yet. Once the ADP moves, maybe a month from now, it's like, oh, AJ Brown's coming off the board as now wide receiver 5. That's a little fucking crazy. Don't do that. Don't draft him there. Or Lamar Jackson, now he's falling. Now he's quarterback 8 off the board. That makes no sense. draft him, things like that. So we'll see how the ADP shifts over the next couple of months, all the way up until August when you guys are doing your fantasy football drafts, or in early September. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about today's video. Do you agree with me on these points? Do you disagree? Let me know. Please make sure you guys do check out Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, for a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. I love you guys all. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.